the thread. And
in Fort Worth, it was Francisco.
Well, and actually,
there were a couple of folks that were helping you there, right?
Right, and and actually for the Amon Carter, it was the first time we actually did that, where I had a third person in the middle, sort of with another pole, sort of, and that was Francisco Moreno.
Right.
Shout out to Francisco. And he really...
And the chapel is still up at Aaron Cluley.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which is amazing. Everybody needs to go see that, because it's just incredible.
Yeah.
So he was sort of transferring the thread from my pole to Shelby Cunningham. Shout out to Shelby, because she worked with me for about 2 years, and
wow.
She was at the Amon Carter, and she was the one doing the counting, because we have to know where we are, and so she's doing the counting and she's doing the tension. Because in a piece that long, if I were to try to do the tension where I am, it just, because the span is so large, it requires more strength in my hands. So it's too much. I just can't.
So I had like last summer, I had a commission where I was doing a really large mural that was about 10 feet by 24 feet, and it was up, 10 feet off the ground. And so I was doing this where I'm going up the ladder, turning, rolling, and for that. It wasn't long before my back was shot, right? And I'm thinking, because I'm like contorting myself in different directions and reaching, and it made me wonder, do you ever have problems with injuries, with your back, your shoulders, having to, your hands giving out because you're trying to maintain the tension, or?
Not a whole lot. There was something that happened. I'm trying to remember what it was. This was for number 5. I think it was something in my hand about, I don't remember if it was the tension or I think it was the hand holding the pole. That piece, it was at Pump Projects in Austin, and so the beginning, it was sort of a little bit out of my reach. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit challenging because I really had to stretch for the first maybe foot of the installation, and I remember like my hand was really, it really hurt.
Right.
For quite a bit after.
Sure.
I do remember that there was this other one time I was doing a private commission in San Diego. Sandy Edgar was helping me, and I don't know exactly why, but my hands were cramping.
Right.
So Sandy was having to massage my hands every hour. And it's funny because I guess because every installation has its own set of movements. I don't have like a constant thing that is.
So you don't have such a repetitive movement that you have to worry about carpal tunnel or anything, because each installation is repetitive, but only for the 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I guess.
And then it's a different
I'm not sure,
movement
actually.
at the next
I don't know.
one.
I try not to think about that.
All right, no. I didn't mention anything about that. Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with the heights that the lifts have to take you on?
No, not really. It's
because the Amon Carter. That was a pretty tall one. I think that atrium is like 44 feet or something.
The so the top of the wall is like 40, and I think if you go all the way, like the dome is more like 40 something or maybe 50. I don't know.
Right.
But I was standing at about 35 feet. It's. I mean, the first time you go up on when you're doing a piece like that, I mean, I like really white knuckle, like grasping that cage,
right?
And it was an articulated lift, so those suckers sway, like they sway a lot. I actually have this video where you like taken from below and you can see how much it sways.
Wow.
It is very disconcerting, but it's amazing what the body can do because the body just gets used to it really fast.
So it's almost like getting your sea legs, I guess.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, after you're up there a few hours and you come down, you're actually swaying in place.
Right.
And I would come back home at night and just chill, watch TV, and I would just be like in a hammock.
Wow.
Like I would feel I was in a hammock, and by the end of it, I was pretty used to it.
Right.
But it's funny because, like, right after I finished, I went even higher, and just because I knew I was going higher, like I was really scared again, and I think it shows in the video that they have. Like, I'm laughing, but I tell them like I'm actually terrified,
right? And
it is pretty scary. It is, but yeah, I mean you get used to it. It's always disconcerting the first day,
right?
But then you just have to be focused and
right.
You get used to it.
So the first truly public installation is at Conduit Gallery, then.
Yeah.
And then I assume it was well received. I mean, it seems like it really took off.
Yeah.
Was that a matter of just how photogenic the work was, and it just kind of spread through something like Instagram, or what was it?
So first, so Patrick Short, who was running Guerrilla Arts back then, he was at the opening at Conduit, and so he. It was funny because I had learned about Guerrilla Arts. I don't even know how. So I went to an opening. And it was actually his own, I believe it was his own work, Patrick's work, but he sees me and he was like, the man just wanted to see you. And I was like, okay, hi, how are you? And I didn't know him at the time. He was like, I wanted to do a piece here. And so I was Plexus number 3. And then around the same time, Erin Cluley, who was working at the Dallas Contemporary at the time, approached me to do a piece at the Dallas Contemporary in their new building. Nice. When it was really raw still.
Right.
It was interesting because Joan Davido also around the same time, she was the director at the time. She was the leading director, and she was curating the main show, but she wanted to do like a little sideshow of textile artists. So she wanted me to do another installation, part of that group show. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think they decided that. I think she decided she was not going to do that in the end. So I did the piece with Erin Cluley, and that was the fourth one, and Plexus number 1, the one in my studio. I started it in January, Conduit happened in March. I installed Guerrilla Arts in August. And the Das Contemporary opened in September.
Wow.
And then I updated my website with the photos of those 4 pieces. I submitted it to Mocha Loco, and Mocha Loco published it, and that's when it went sort of semi-viral. And I say semi-viral because for today's standards, it's really, I think my website, that's been the peak of traffic my website has ever had, and it's like 100,000 hits. Which, by today's standards is not a whole lot, but that's what really set me off on a trajectory of not having to apply to things anymore. And I still apply to certain things that I would really like to do, but for the most part, everything I get approached to do projects.
Sure. And so, you had those projects that year, and then I guess that started taking you all over the place.
Yeah. So Plexus, Plexus number 4 was the Dallas Contemporary. The Texas Biennial was Plexus number 5, and that was in Austin. Victoria Rutledge, I can't remember if that's how you pronounce her name, but she was the curator, and she saw the piece at the Dallas, at Guerrilla Arts. I don't know if she saw the piece at the Dallas Contemporary, but she saw the piece at Guerrilla Arts, and so she accepted. She put me in the Biennial, and I was in Pump Projects. That was number 5. Right before that, I actually did my MFA thesis show, or not a thesis show, but my MFA show, and that was at Centraltrak, and that was a piece called Torres de Satélite, which is satellite towers, I guess it's the literal translation, but that's inspired by this Mexico City monument, which, interestingly enough, is also a collaboration between architect Luis Barragan and artist, I'm blanking on his name, but a Mexican artist, very well-known Mexican artist. It's an icon in Mexico City. So it was my homage to that monument. And I could literally tell you each one if you don't stop me. But like Plexus number 6 was at the Hudson Valley Center for Contemporary Art, something like that. The HVCCA. Sure. Yeah. And that was James Cope. Shout out to James, because he was asked by the museum to do to throw in names from the Texas area that he would, of recent MFA graduates. It was a show of recent students, or recent MFA students, and so he threw in my name to the hat, and they took me to be part of that show.
Right.
Plexus number 7 was Michael Garcia. Michael Garcia. Gosh, I'm blanking on names. This is really bad. But shout out to Michael. Michael Anthony Garcia. He has this collective in Austin, and he's an artist as well. And we were together in the Texas Biennial. But they were doing this show at the Mexican Art Culture Center or something like that. The MAC, what they call the MAC in Austin.
Okay.
it was